Mixed martial arts has grown into a global phenomenon over the past few decades, with athletes from around the world competing in various organizations to showcase their skills and prove their worth, trying to leave behind a legacy as some of the greatest to ever do it. Welcome to Who's Number 1. In this video, we will be counting down the top 10 MMA fighters of all time, taking a closer look at their impressive skills, dominant performances, and lasting legacies. Let's get to it. Number 10, Conor McGregor. Arguably the biggest star MMA has ever seen, and undoubtedly the most well-known across the world, Conor McGregor is specially known for his larger-than-life personality and his ability to promote fights. He was the highest-paid athlete in the world in 2021, and is credited with bringing MMA to a mass audience with his charisma and trash-talking. He was also the first fighter in UFC history to hold titles in two weight classes at the same time, holding the featherweight and lightweight titles simultaneously in 2016. McGregor was born in 1988 in Dublin, Ireland, and began boxing at a young age before transitioning to MMA. He made his professional MMA debut in 2008, quickly establishing himself as the face of the UFC during the mid-2010s, and becoming the biggest pay-per-view draw in UFC history. McGregor's fighting style is characterized by his powerful striking ability and his world-class movement and footwork. He has a devastating left-hand punch and is able to control the pace of the fight with his movement and angles. McGregor's fight record is currently of 22 wins and 6 losses. He made history in 2017 when he fought Floyd Mayweather, one of the greatest boxers of all time, in a never-seen-before combat where an MMA star fought a boxing star, which ended up being the biggest money fight in history. Number 9, Stipe Miocic. Born in 1982 in Ohio, Stipe Miocic is widely regarded as one of the greatest heavyweight fighters in the history of the sport, being heavyweight champion twice, the first time in 2016. Miocic made his professional MMA debut in 2010 and he signed with the UFC in 2011. He has amassed a record of 20 wins and 4 losses. Miocic's fighting style is characterized by his powerful striking ability and his world-class wrestling skills. He has heavy hands and amazing knockout power, as well as an ability to control and dominate opponents on the ground. What's curious about Miocic is that he also works as a firefighter and paramedic for the city of Cleveland and has been involved in several charitable endeavors throughout his career. Number 8, Jose Aldo. Widely regarded as the greatest featherweight fighter in the history of MMA, at one point in his career Aldo didn't lose for over a decade and won 18 fights in a row. The Brazilian was born in 1986 and began training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the age of 17. Just a year later, in 2004, he made his professional MMA debut, retiring in 2022. He competed in the WEC and the UFC throughout his career, amassing a record of 31 wins and 8 losses. He was the UFC featherweight champion from 2011 to 2015, and his fighting style was characterized by his explosive striking ability and his world-class takedown defense. He was known for his powerful leg kicks and lightning-fast punches, as well as his ability to avoid takedowns and control the pace of the fight. Number 7, Daniel Cormier. Born in 1979 in Lafayette, Louisiana, Cormier began wrestling at the age of 9. His wrestling career included a stint as a member of the U.S. Olympic wrestling team, and he was a 2-time Olympian himself, competing in the 2004 Athens Games and the 2008 Beijing Games. He began his MMA career in 2009 at age 30, amassing a record of 22 wins, 3 losses, and 1 no contest until his retirement in 2020. He won the UFC light heavyweight title for the first time in 2015, and became the second fighter in UFC history to be champion in 2 weight classes simultaneously after also being crowned heavyweight champion. Cormier was known for his charisma and his ability to connect with fans, and his fighting style was characterized by his strong wrestling and grappling skills, which he used to control and dominate his opponents on the ground. He was also known for his powerful striking and his ability to take a punch and keep fighting. Number 6, Fedor Emelianenko. Despite never fighting in the UFC, the Last Emperor is widely regarded as the greatest heavyweight of all time. Born in 1976 in Rubizn, now Ukraine, he began training in martial arts at a young age under the guidance of his brother. Emelianenko made his professional MMA debut in 2000 and competed in several organizations over the course of his career, including Pride FC, Strikeforce, and Affliction. He amassed a record of 40 wins, 7 losses, and 1 no contest, until his retirement in 2023. Emelianenko's fighting style was characterized by his incredible punching power and his world-class grappling skills. He was known for his devastating ground and pound, as well as his ability to submit opponents with a variety of techniques, including armbars and chokes. Emelianenko was also known for his stoic and humble demeanor outside of the cage. Number 5, Khabib Nurmagomedov. With a record of 29 wins and no losses, Khabib holds the greatest undefeated record in MMA history. Born in 1988 in the Republic of Dagestan, Russia, Khabib began training in combat sports at a young age under the tutelage of his father. He made his professional MMA debut in 2008, signing with the UFC in 2012. He won the UFC lightweight title in 2018 and would go on to defend it successfully 3 times, including a dominant victory over Conor McGregor in one of the most highly anticipated fights in MMA history, which has been dubbed as the biggest and most anticipated fight in the history of the UFC by Dana White himself. Nurmagomedov's fighting style was characterized by his incredible grappling ability, including his world-class wrestling and sambo skills, and he was known for his quiet and humble demeanor outside of the cage. Khabib retired from MMA in 2020, leaving behind a legacy as the greatest undefeated fighter of all time. Number 4, Anderson Silva. Widely considered the greatest striker of all time, the Spider was born in 1975 in São Paulo, Brazil. He began training in martial arts at the age of 14 and made his professional MMA debut in 1997 at age 22. He signed with the UFC in 2006 at age 31, and won the middleweight title that same year, going on to defend it successfully 10 consecutive times, which is the second most in the history of the UFC. Silva holds the record of the longest title reign, being middleweight champion for 2,457 days, which is almost 7 consecutive years. Silva's fighting style was characterized by his incredible striking ability, including his lightning-fast kicks and pinpoint accuracy with his punches. In addition to his impressive skills in the octagon, Silva was also known for his charismatic personality and showmanship. He was a fan favorite and often entertained crowds with his flashy entrances and playful antics before fights. Silva retired from MMA in 2020. Number 3, Demetrious Johnson. One of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time, Mighty Mouse was born in 1986 in Madisonville, Kentucky, and began training in MMA at the age of 18. Just 3 years later, in 2007, he made his professional MMA debut, signing with the UFC in 2010. Johnson's fighting style is characterized by his incredible speed, footwork, and technical striking. He is also a skilled wrestler and grappler, with a strong ground game that allows him to control and dominate his opponents on the mat. Johnson's humble and gracious demeanor outside of the octagon has made him be widely respected by his fellow fighters and fans alike due to his professionalism and sportsmanship. Up until now, Johnson has amassed a record of 31 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. He won the UFC flyweight title in 2012, and would go on to defend it a record-breaking 11 times, a feat that has yet to be surpassed in UFC history. He held the title for 6 years, until 2018. In 2018, Johnson was traded to ONE Championship in exchange for Ben Askren, marking the first-ever fighter trade in MMA history. He currently competes at ONE Championship, where he is the flyweight champion. Number 2, Jon Jones. Jones is arguably the most polemic and controversial fighter in UFC history, due to his various legal problems outside of the octagon, losing his title a few times as a result of disciplinary action. However, he is widely regarded as the greatest MMA fighter of all time. Still competing in the UFC, and the current reigning heavyweight champion, Jon Bones Jones was born in 1987 in Rochester, New York, and began wrestling at a young age, quickly developing a passion for combat sports. Jon Jones made his professional MMA debut in 2008, signing with the UFC later that same year. He won the UFC light heavyweight title for the first time in 2011, becoming the youngest champion ever in the history of the UFC, and would go on to defend the title 8 times. Up until now, Jones has amassed a record of 27 wins, 1 loss, and 1 no contest. His only loss came via disqualification by throwing illegal elbows, so we could say he has never actually been defeated. On top of that, Jones would have another win under his belt if he hadn't tested positive for turinabol after beating Daniel Cormier, his longtime rival, causing his win to be overturned to a no contest, along with a 15-month suspension. Jones' fighting style is characterized by his incredible athleticism, unorthodox striking, and dominant grappling ability. He throws devastating elbows and knees, and is able to take down opponents and control them on the ground. He is also known for his incredible reach, which he uses to keep his opponents at bay and control the distance of the fight. As Jones is still active, he still has time to climb to the number 1 spot, but for now, he remains at second place. Number 1, Georges St-Pierre. Often simply referred to as GSP, Georges St-Pierre is widely considered the greatest mixed martial artist ever. He was born in 1981 in Quebec, Canada, and began training in karate at the age of 7 after being bullied by kids at elementary school. He soon expanded his skill set to include wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and boxing. St-Pierre's fighting style was characterized by his well-rounded skills, which made him a formidable opponent in all aspects of the game. He was an excellent striker, throwing powerful kicks and punches, but he was equally comfortable on the ground, with a strong wrestling and grappling game. He was probably the most complete fighter ever. He made his professional MMA debut in 2002 and quickly established himself as one of the sport's most promising prospects. After signing with the UFC in 2004, St-Pierre won the UFC welterweight title for the first time in 2006, and would go on to defend it successfully 9 times, a record for the UFC welterweight division. Throughout his career, he amassed a record of 26 wins and 2 losses. St-Pierre was known for his tireless work ethic and his dedication to training and preparation. He was meticulous in his approach to fighting, leaving nothing to chance and always striving to be in the best possible condition for his fights. After retiring in 2013, he made a comeback to the octagon in 2017 to defeat Michael Bisping for the UFC middleweight title, becoming only the 4th fighter in UFC history to win titles in 2 weight classes. St-Pierre retired from MMA again in 2019, this time permanently, vacating the middleweight title. He remains one of the most beloved and respected figures in the world of MMA. And that concludes our list of the top 10 MMA fighters of all time. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the careers of the greatest athletes to ever step foot inside the octagon. Be sure to leave a like on the video and let us know who your favorite MMA fighter is. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of our weekly top 10 videos. This is Who's Number 1. See you next time.